we'll move on to more Marvel.
We will move on to more Marvel. Loki season finale. For All Time Always, the name of the 6th episode, Loki and Sylvie make their way past the sinister Miss Minutes to the chamber of He Who Remains, played by Jonathan Majors. He Who Remains explains he's the last surviving variant of a multiversal war, and the TVA exists to prune the sacred timeline so that the more sinister variants of himself and others remain at bay, and chaos falls to order accordingly. He offers the pair 2 versions of the end of time. The first is that they kill him, cracking open the multiverse and starting a new multiversal war in which the evil variants of He Who Remains are unleashed, and the timeline plays out in the same way in which he wins the war and remains at the end of time. Option number 2 is he allows them to replace him and rule over the TVA after Loki, who wants to think about it for a minute, and Sylvie battle. She sends Loki back to the TVA and plunges her sword into the heart of He Who Remains, who remarks ominously, "See you soon." Loki, seeing the timeline uncontrollably branch, rushes to Mobius and Hunter B-15, who have no idea who he is, suggesting he is in a different universe altogether. The end credits confirm that Loki will return in season 2. So I think we kind of take this one at a time. What did you think of the episode before we get into the season at large and kind of how this moves things forward?
So, I mean, for an episode that didn't have a lot, didn't really have action. I really enjoyed the acting, and I hate, like, even with Marvel, you're not going to say that too often. I really enjoyed the scene, and Jonathan Majors crushes this. Like, he's literally chewing an apple while he's also chewing on the scenery. I mean, he is like, to do this character who is like, an absolute destroyer of things, and to do this character as like the last guy, presumably in this order of things, and to make this, what's going to happen going forward, which we know is going to be crazy and is now confirmed because there's going to be Kang the Conquerors all over the place. Yeah. I thought that was like a really cool idea. I thought it was funny the way that, Sylvie and Loki have this battle back and forth because they're the same person. It's like, you can't trust anyone and I can't be trusted. And then they kiss, and she literally just has them kiss so she can trick him, because that's what Lokis do, is they're tricksters. And so for setting up the Marvel universe, and I've seen other people, like, I've read, every review you can that I get my reviews from, and everybody's takeaway of like, this was like the season finale of something that was like, made a ton of sense heading forward to the Marvel universe, because we all know we're getting the multiverse. And I thought it was this episode that was, it went beyond Marvel to me in this way of like, here are people that are really like gonna just tell you a storyline that makes what's happening, the next year or so in the Marvel universe make a ton of sense. And it was just a TV show. Spider-Man makes so much more sense now. The new Spider-Man stuff. We know we're going to get a bunch, probably going to get different Spider-Mans and things like that. So, I thought it was good. Without the action stuff, I like action in these kind of things, but I thought it was a really good movie, or a good television show to bring us back to the movies, because you and I have talked about where we think the movies are a better format than TV for these, when we think the reverse for Star Wars at this point. So, it's not my favorite episode of television, but I thought it was a great way to gateway us into what will be the movies. And that, I hope are handled well, because this is going to be chaos with this kind of, which in the comic books, when Kang the Conqueror shows up, it is nothing but chaos. It is nothing less than just absolute insanity.
I am going to have an unpopular opinion. But that's going to be in a few moments. I'm just going to kind of, like I said, look at this episode for what it's worth. Number one, I think that the storytelling problems that are contained within this episode are very evident in this episode. I didn't even mention in our write-up, like the whole thing where Mobius confronts Renslayer, she goes into a time where we don't know where she goes because it just felt like it didn't matter. And I'm getting like
that might be a season 2 thing.
Well, it is going to be a season 2 thing. It's certainly going to be a season 2 thing, but there's no like it's almost like I guess I just like don't care like what her character does. She could walk through that time gateway into the jaws of a fucking Tyrannosaurus Rex and I wouldn't give a shit. Because I just don't care about that character because they never made her interesting. And I felt like they built up that all the emotional stuff with Mobius in the first, 3 or 4 episodes and just didn't cash in on any of it. And so I felt like it's like you bring in Owen Wilson and he's awesome. And then you just like leave him on the trash heap for the last couple episodes. With that being said, so I think that that's a problem. But with that being said, Jonathan Majors, they never call him Kang the Conqueror. He refers to himself as a conqueror,
right?
When he's doing like one of his monologues, but they never actually refer to him as that. And there's like a shroud of me that feels like Marvel's pulling some kind of an okey doke on us. It's just like everything points to, like he's confirmed for Ant-Man Quantumania, Kang the Conqueror. Like he's like, that's the character. That's who fits it. But there's like a shroud of me that's just like, I don't know if I believe it because they've just haven't been forthright. But here's what I really liked about that character. And it requires some assumptions. It requires the assumption that Kang the Conqueror is the next overarching big bad guy, right?
Yeah.
So let's look at that for a second. I think it's perfect, or at least his portrayal in this episode was perfect in that you go from Thanos, who is this hulking, aggressive, menacing beast, who's like nuts, but at the same way you can kind of empathize with like what his like end goal is, right? It's like, well, It kind of makes like what he's after kind of makes sense. It's probably not the best way of going about it, but it kind of makes sense. To go to this guy who isn't really physically intimidating, but he seems completely fucking bonkers. Yeah. Like he's just got like there's so many screws loose up top, is a really good juxtaposition for me. So if they continue with that, where he's just kind of like this, like just unhinged, crazy, powerful guy, that's going to be cool moving forward. Or at least it's going to be cool in the sense that it's going to be different.
Right.
Here's where I come to my unpopular opinion, and this kind of goes into the whole wrap up and where we move forward. Is I've seen now post Endgame, Spider-Man Far From Home. I don't count Black Widow because Black Widow, like we said, should have happened 5 years ago. Spider-Man Far From Home, WandaVision, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Loki. We've gotten a look at Shang-Chi. We've gotten a look at the Eternals. We know that the rest of the slate. And I think that what I'm about to say is informed by the fact that we are watching through the entire Infinity Saga in order. I think they should have stopped at Endgame. I think that should have been the end. And I know that they're in the business of making money, and these movies make so much money. But do you know what, like, oh, Kang the Conqueror, that seems cool. Like, oh, Shang-Chi, the trailers look really cool. We're going to get more Spider-Man. That's cool. You know what we're not going to get? We're not going to get any more fucking Iron Man. We're not going to get any more Captain America. And the nostalgia, it's maybe the nostalgia piece, but I just don't think that there's anything that they're going to put on screen that's going to be better than those first 20 movies. And so maybe you just ride off into the sunset.
This is so funny because I was watching Thor: The Dark World and
I'm sorry.
The other day, because we're getting through these. And I was like, I need to just watch Endgame instead. Because I just couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. I'm watching Endgame, and I'm like, and I said this literally, I'm watching it by myself. I said, as I'm like pretty like on the verge of tears because I love that movie, just because I'm so happy with that movie and just thinking about everything. And when Steve gets when he gets the hammer. And I said out loud, Brendan, by myself, I wish it ended this. I wish this was it.
Yeah.
You're not wrong with your unpopular opinion. And it has nothing to do with
be that moment again.
It has nothing to do with these things coming up. I'm not even judging it off of this. It's not the fact that I would ever dislike these things. It is literally just like the way that we wrap this up was perfect.
Mm-hmm.
No, yeah. You're not going to have that connection, especially, and it's like with the Black Panther thing going the way it did. It's like you're not going to have this connection. Like Tom Holland's and Chris Hemsworth are your last like real connective tissue.
Ruffalo,
I guess, but I mean, like, you don't have a solo Hulk movie that matters, So it's like, and I think Love and Thunder is probably gonna be awesome. I really do. I really do. Because we know we're getting there. But at the end of the day, it's just maybe you do that and it still has like some of our connectivity. And it is at the end of the day about making money.
Yeah.
And I get that. But you're right. I don't think it's an unpopular opinion with like people like us that really care about this stuff, in the fact that we just want it to be good all the time.
Well,
and then you start getting in this direction of, will it be good? I don't know.
I think a big reason the popularity of the comics waned after a long time was because they ran out of stories to tell, and just things got crazier and crazier. And that's going to happen with these movies. Yes. You know what I mean? And it's like, you can kind of already start to see it happening. It's like, or I wonder too, if I just maybe am not a big fan of the multiverse thing. I think maybe a better, like, Galactus would have been a better big bad. Apocalypse would have been a better big bad. You know what I mean? Rather than, okay, we're going to go Kang Conquer and we're going to go multiverse.
Or Doom.
Well, and we've talked about that.
Yeah.
But this gives me trepidation of how they're going to handle Doom.
Yeah. I mean, everything gives me trepidation about how you handle the Fantastic Four anyhow.
Right.
Because the storylines are there and nobody's been able to do it.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just like, we're going to continue to get, I feel like at this point, we're going to continue to get more and more obscure characters, like more and more. We're getting like Moon Knight, we're getting the Eternals. And then people are going to it's going to lose steam. This is this is what I feel like is very likely to happen, or at least could happen, is it's going to lose steam. And then the X-Men are going to save it.
Yes. Well, I think that's what they're relying on.
Or because they're playing with multiverse stuff, that, okay, if things go horribly wrong, we can just throw $100 million at RDJ and Chris Evans each, and they'll come back.
Yes. And that's actually what I thought while I was watching this and everything was branching out of control. I said, once again, out loud to myself, oh, so Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans are going to come back at some point in one of these movies.
They may. It's very possible. I mean, they're setting the stage for it to be a possibility.
Yeah.
But I think that it's unfair to the content that we are reviewing to look at it through the lens of something that we think necessarily shouldn't exist. Given that I feel, as I've watched, these three series and the Far From Home movie, it's unfair to say, well, Endgame should have been the last of it, and so I'm just automatically not going to like these things. Because I really like WandaVision. I really like Far From Home.
Yeah.
I'm not as high on Falcon and Winter Soldier. I'm not as high on Loki. I would say probably of the three, Loki's my least favorite, because I just think that it has story, like the last episode and the reveal. This is kind of what we said with WandaVision, and it ended up not being the case, is that if you're existing purely to set other things up, then I have to question the need for your existence. And I'm finding that now in the same vein, because in my rewatch, I'm on Ultron, and that movie's 2.5 hours long, and it could have been 1 hour and 45 minutes long, but they did so much setup for everything else. And so I question the need for something to exist if it's purely to set something else up. Now, granted, this sets up this may set up the next 10 years. You know what I mean? This isn't
it
just
definitely
one,
sets up the next 10 years. I think it really does, because we can do multiverse for it's the next round of whatever gets us to the new end game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It does.
So, but I just felt like the show Loki started very strongly, and I guess now we're getting into what we thought of the actual season. It started very strongly, and I thought it just got worse every episode from there on out. I thought the first 2 episodes were great, and then it just got a little bit worse every episode for me.
I thought it started really strongly. It dipped in the middle. I did like the last episode enough. It's the most important of the series. I think that's why I look at it maybe differently, where it's just like it is consequentially important. Captain and Winter Soldier, or Falcon and Winter Soldier. Well, I guess it's Captain America, whatever.
Yeah, now
technically, Falcon and Winter Soldier set us up to where we knew we were going, so it's really inconsequential. WandaVision was awesome, but we kind of knew we got the end there, and I thought this was really good. This is the show that sets us up, like you said, going forward. So I'm going to rank it on these things as like, it's probably Wanda and Loki tied, and then for my own personal enjoyment, and then the Falcon and the Winter Soldier comes in next. I don't think anything's an A show, an A to F scale. I think I would say B+ for Loki and WandaVision for me, and then probably a C+ for Falcon and Winter Soldier.
I think WandaVision's an A. I do. I think that Loki and Falcon are both C's.
Okay, that's fair.
But piggybacking on this and kind of diving into the multiverse thing is, in the last week here, we got a trailer for What If, the animated series. And this is the crazy part that I've seen kind of kicked around following the Loki finale was, since we're getting multiverse now, and it's confirmed, I mean, we've all assumed that we're getting multiverse, but now that we're actually kind of seeing it in action, they could actually spin this that this is canon.
Oh, they will. I feel like they will at the end of the day. It's fun to say what if, but yeah, I think they probably will.
But now they can spin it as it's canon, and just a couple of the what ifs that were found within Chadwick Boseman's final reprisal of T'Challa in an episode where he is kidnapped by the Ravagers and becomes the leader of the Guardians of the Galaxy instead of Star-Lord, which is that I'm really excited. I'm excited for this series because I think some of these scenarios are going to be fucking bonkers.
Oh yeah.
Vision gets all 6 stones, is one of the what ifs. Peggy Carter takes the serum instead of Steve. Iron Man and Captain America become zombies. That's really weird and creepy. Killmonger saves Iron Man in the deserts, which is also wild to think about, but plausible because of everything. So I think these are going to be super fun. Are there any of those that you're looking forward to maybe more than another?
Peggy as Cap.
Right.
I think that's such a cool device to use. And that when I saw that, when you sent me like all the what if came out, and I was like, oh, I didn't see it yet. And I was just like, I really hope it's Peggy, as Cap, which would be really cool. But all these T'Challa, as Guardian, like I think that's such a cool move. I just think all of these are like so genius. And the fact that it's a cartoon, so you can kind of get away with a little bit more.
Right. Yeah.
Makes it really helpful. So yeah, I think these are just gonna be a ton of fun. And like I just said, I think they'll spin it eventually that these are canon. Because
they're all voiced by their actual actors. Hemsworth and Chad Boseman and all the rest. So
it's gonna be, I think it's gonna be awesome.
I believe that's August 11th.
Yep.
Does that sound right?
That sounds accurate to me. I knew it was August, first part of the month.
Yeah, they're doing all their stuff on Wednesdays now, so 11th. So good stuff there. Can't wait. A little bit over a month out from that.